I'm Owen. I'm a wheelchair user and I'm directing a behind-the-scenes look at the most inclusive shoot I've ever been on.
We're making a new campaign for Irwin Mitchell. It's a full campaign with TV, print and radio.
As someone who's only recently become a wheelchair user, it's really lifted the veil for me for what exclusion is like. When I first became a wheelchair user, I got dropped by every single client that I'd built up over maybe 15 years of working in the industry, apart from one. And that made for a very, very hard few years, starting from scratch effectively, building up my clients again and finding new ways to work. The last few days has been a bit of a revelation. It's so rare being on a shoot that's this inclusive, particularly outside of a broadcaster. There's not a major company with huge infrastructure behind this. This is one independent company. And I've decided to make sure that the pre-production, the production and the post-production is inclusive for people with physical disabilities and also people who are neurodivergent.
This shoot is the most phenomenal shoot I've ever been a part of. We discussed this idea of how could we make the most inclusive production that I've ever been involved with, and actually everybody I've spoken to on set has never been involved in something like this. Having been in the industry for nearly 30 years, behind the camera we haven't really made the strides that we should have done. So I really wanted to make sure that we were doing that on every level in this shoot itself. So obviously we have the likes of you looking at the film work, looking at this piece. We have Ian. This is his first real big commercial job, and hopefully he can move on and do more and more.
This was everything that I've been working towards for the last 10 years. It was so nice. I come in yesterday and I didn't even think about the awkward things. Everyone had the basic idea of, oh, right, this guy's blind, just work around it. And I just felt so at home yesterday. I mean, it was the first time starting to feel like I'm able to participate in a world that does include me. There was a point where I was gonna give up photography, so I'm gonna get teary. But they're good tears now. When I did hear that I got the job, I was just over the moon. And then suddenly to hear that, Rankin was gonna be on board, I couldn't believe it.
I loved Ian's work right from the beginning when it was presented to me. And what I liked about his images was that I could feel that he was having a relationship with the subject. The way that I understand the way that Ian can see and the condition that he has is it's like holding your hands up with a kind of like tiny small hole like that, which is amazing if you try and do it because you can only see so much. He's doing it and he's doing a really, really good job.
I'm a full-time media makeup artist. I have severe lupus and I'm partly deaf.
What makes this shoot special?
Well, it's so unique and it's been embracing their disabilities, how people think about people with disabilities, how people now learn from people with disabilities and how to treat people in the future with disabilities. It's a whole learning curve.
What do you need from a client or an employer to be able to do your job?
Understanding.
I think it's just having a bit of an awareness of what different needs are. There's slowly being more awareness of different needs. It might not take that much to kind of meet someone's needs.
I've met some incredibly creative people that might not be doing what they want to do because of people's either ignorance or laziness. And it's shocking that it is laziness that could be the reason why, because, oh my God, I might have to do that. It's just not fair, Owen. So yeah, it needs to be different. So for me, it wasn't just about diversity for diversity's sake. We had a process where we spoke to quite a lot of people. It was the same as how you would approach any job, but just finding incredibly talented people to be part of this project was the key goal.
I think there's a bit of a basic lack of understanding. In my case in particular, I have systemic lupus erythematosus. If I'm not well for a while, doesn't mean I won't ever be. I just wouldn't like to be written off so easily. What's special about this shoot is that it's no different to any other shoot in how we're working, and yet I feel like people being given who may not normally have been given an opportunity here. It's not any hindrance to the day at all, and it shouldn't be, and this is kind of proof of it, I think.
At Irwin Mitchell, our legal experts understand your challenges and your strategic goals. This production is unusual because I don't think I've ever been in a situation where everything has been so well thought through. And to have disability at the centre of something, that's never been the case in my experience. And that's wonderful.
My job is to play the piano, is my job. Owen?
So Derek, you can't see, can you?
I can't see.
And you sometimes find it tricky to understand what people say.
Tricky, understand what people say.
But you're very good in lots of ways. So like memory.
I'm very good at memory.
Amazing memory. You're really helpful. It's been a really interesting process, hasn't it, Derek?
It has, yes.
To do this, it's like session work, isn't it? You have to You have to play something quite simple, but play it absolutely like the director or the producer wants it. It's one of the great things about you, Derek, is you're very patient.
Yes.
And you don't mind doing the same thing over and over and over again until it's right.
When I received the call out on this job that they were looking for people who identify as disabled, I remember feeling this like, this feeling of it was okay to be me and be an editor. What I've learned with living with complex PTSD is your victories are different. This job is incredibly unique and unusual. Like, it never really starts off with the assumption of we're aware that you're differently abled and we want to accommodate that. The conversation never starts like that. And if it could, it makes me beg the question, well, what kind of world could we live in if that's where our starting place is?
You really have to start owning your disability, because other people are going to need you to do it, because the world is not ready to accept people who are different, especially in this industry.
As a group of people who are here to tell stories, it would be wonderful if we became more invested in each other's.
I've always been a really big believer in having as many different types of voices at the table, because you have a much more interesting conversation and you get to a much better place. So for me, it's not just about quality, it's about actually creating stuff that's better, that's more interesting.
The good news is it's really easy for employers to make the change to start having much more inclusive crews. You just have to make sure you've got an inclusive job posting so that you're inviting everyone to apply, and ask them what they need. That's it. Send them an email or ask them on the phone. What can I do to make it so that you can do your best? And for me, I'm on wheels, so I need to be able to get into the building. I don't need any more than that. Most film sets I go to, or very often, someone will come up to me and tell me that they also have a disability, but they're too scared to be open about it and they keep it hidden. And it's like a real relief that everyone here is just happy in their own skin, getting on with their work.
Hopefully that by doing this job, we can show that, we are able to do it and we are more than capable, and, it's possible.
We've made the first step. We have basically collectively moved forward. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.